Results have shown that the running backs are not getting the job done in terms of helping you ultimately hoist the Lombardi Trophy. It's been the quarterback and receiver position more so.
I disagree with you about the receiver aspect because we've overvalued these diva receivers.
Wait a minute.
We've overvalued them.
Let's stay focused now.
Greg Jennings felt some type of way about that shit. I don't believe the receiver position is overvalued. The receiver position, with this being a passing league, is very important. Look at Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is the perfect example of a guy who doesn't have that typical wide receiver height. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, he's not the strongest guy. But this guy gets open. His route running is so elite. His ability to find the openings on the field, his ability to get to a spot, his ability to just catch the ball in any way he needs to catch the ball, he does it. I mean, shit, you can say that about almost any wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. I mean, Martavis Bryant a couple years ago, man. I mean, I saw this dude catch a ball, I'm pretty sure most people remember it, but he caught the ball. He did like a front flip, caught the ball, still landed in bounds, and it was a touchdown. So wide receivers are able. Look at Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham, if you look at his highlight reel and just look at all the plays he make catching the ball, man, like this dude is special. You can't replace that. No running back could come in and do that. But there are things that running backs can do catching the ball out of the backfield that you could put. See, this is why I use New England is the perfect example, especially in football conversations because they do so many things. Cordero Patterson. I can't even say his name. Cordero Patterson. They had this dude at running back. He was catching the ball out of the backfield. He was running the ball. And he looked explosive. I mean, he's not a full-time workhorse running back. I mean, you're not going to depend on him to have 20 carries and 10 catches like every other game. I mean, his body, with his size, he wouldn't be able to take the punishment. But if you put him there sparingly, there's nothing he can't do that there's nothing running backs can do that he can't do. Maybe besides like bowl over somebody, but there's a lot of running backs that can't do that. Now, when it comes to the wide receiver position is just invaluable. There are certain wide receivers that can't do what Edelman does. This is why I would love to make an argument for him to be a Hall of Famer, man, because I've seen him do things that Wes Welker couldn't do. So, we'll get back to it.
We keep diminishing the running back position, and to me, this guy's article, and look, I thought he made some fine points, and I think people are over. There's a reluctance to me to just say, Sean McVay, man, you blew it. Early in the first possession in that game for the Rams, I tweeted out, hey, man, Jared Goff is rattled. He's a little bit nervous. Yeah. If I can see it.
Of course, Jared Goff's going to be nervous. This is his second year in the league. I mean, I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz last year would have been nervous, but he was hurt. So he didn't have to be subjected. I believe if Carson Wentz would have started the Super Bowl last year, they would have lost that game. Because there's a different tone. There's a different atmosphere. And I'm pretty sure anybody knows it when you play in a regular season game versus a playoff game like the divisional round and then a Super Bowl. Just the whole feel is different. Every single football fan that loves football, that watches their teams play every single week during the season, they're watching you. The amount of pressure, if you mess up, everybody sees your mistake. It's not like the regular season where your mistake could be masked by so many other people making mistakes. Your mistakes are put on Front Street. It's embarrassing. So, of course Jared Goff was nervous. I'm pretty sure Sean McVay was nervous. Sean McVay shouldn't have been nervous because if you get outcoached by Belichick, you're just in a long list of people that was outcoached by Belichick. But you could see late in that game, if you go back and look at Sean McVay's face in the fourth quarter, when they were down by 10 points, like he almost looked shell-shocked. Like that military term where you just see some shit that traumatize you. Like he looked shell-shocked. Like he went through an experience that will change him. Like he looked like he couldn't process what was going on. And that's what happens when you're a new coach or a new player. You know, and there's so much expectations riding on Sean McVay. He's the new generation of coaches. How Belichick, when he took over in like 2000 and he became the Patriots quarterback, he was the next generation of coaches for the next 20 years. Now McVay is going to be in the next generation of coaches for like 20, 25 years. That pressure mixed with being on the big stage your second year, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's not an easy thing to deal with. So, of course, they were nervous.
At home, you got to get this man some easy completions. They were asking him to throw downfield. They were getting a pass rush. Just flick it out to Gurley. Let him move the chains for you. It's the same thing the Patriots do.
All right, well, this is on ad. Jason Whitlock, man.
For Brady,
if they could, they would have. If they could have, they would have. And that's what playing New England does to you. Look at Pittsburgh a few years ago in the championship game where they made a big deal about having Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Ben Roethlisberger all in the game all at one time against New England. They were talking about, this is the first time this is happening, so everybody's expecting them to play out of their mind. And what happened? Le'Veon Bell got knocked out in the first quarter. Antonio Brown was essentially shut down. And Ben Roethlisberger, he was left to his own devices at that point because, your two best players on your offense is pretty much taken out of the game. They're eliminated. And it just showed how... I believe Ben Roethlisberger is a future Hall of Famer. I believe he is. But it just showed how low level you are versus this other team. Like, I just watched a video yesterday of New England in 2004. I was watching their America's Team video, and I was watching them play Pittsburgh, where New England had a 21-game win streak, and it went to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh beat them by 14. And Joey Porter, the emotional fucking asshole he is, he said they're not on our level, but they're not two-time. They are they're a two-time champion in the last 3 years. What are you? And for some reason, Pittsburgh has that. They have that confidence about themselves that New England are on this level below them, and this is why they lose to New England as much as they do. They beat them last year, but it's a regular season game. You don't beat them in the playoffs. That's the point. And it just showed how much of on a different level New England is versus Brady and Roethlisberger and whoever the Pittsburgh coach is versus Belichick.
Well, you know what? What happened is disguised coverage is what really rattled Jared Goff. So Jared Goff gets a lot of his.
I looked at the recap of the game, and I'm not going to say that I'm proficient when it comes to identifying coverages when I'm watching football. But they came out in something that nobody has ever seen before. I remember somebody saying that because I've never seen the defense, because they had almost no safeties in the Kansas City game, New England. They had no safeties back there. And somebody called it the cover zero or something like that, which I've never heard of that shit before. Like I've never seen it before. And they came out in cover zero, and it completely stymied Patrick Mahomes for the first half. They eventually figured out a way to be able to get around it, because they're a far more talented team than New England. But New England has been doing that recently, man, where Belichick he would bring his team out and they would just do some shit that nobody expects them to do or nobody has ever seen before. And it's like when you watch those TV shows with the cops and something happens that they didn't prepare for. They teach you a lot of things in the academy, but we wasn't prepared for this. So if you don't prepare for something, how are you able to get around it? And that's what New England does, and that's why they beat a lot of teams, man.
Communication from Sean McVay, they go over to the 15 second, right? Sure. What they were doing, New England was just like, we're gonna wait till 9 seconds and then disguise our coverage as there. So he didn't have his communication, so he was already out of comfort.
Steve, you would know better than I. But it's easier to me to get the ball to the running back out of the backfield. I don't think they can scheme that away from him.
Well, they can scheme. They can try to take different things away from him. But Sean McVay, what makes him so effective is that creativity, of which we saw none in the Super Bowl. I picked Todd Gurley to win the MVP of that game. I thought that the Rams were going to come out and find all those different ways, what you were talking about, to get him the football because they had not used him in previous games.
Someone needs to be writing an article.
Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know what Sean McVay was trying to do in that Super Bowl, but I honestly believe he kept the game plan simple because he didn't want to put a whole lot of pressure on Jared Goff. And you could just almost tell their relationship is Goff is this young upstart who needs a lot of coaching, and Sean McVay tries his best to protect him from stressful and pressure-filled situations by putting him in the best position to make the best play. And you can't do that against New England. You can't do that against New England. You have to go out and you have to be yourself against New England. And that's the problem that the Chargers and the Chiefs had. They went out there and the Chargers fucked up. And this is when I knew the Chargers was going to lose. It was like a couple days before the game. It was like Thursday or Friday. And Phillip Rivers came out and did a press conference, and he asked them, "What new things are you implementing to help you beat the New England Patriots?" And he fucked up when he said this, and I'm pretty sure Belichick saw it. He said, "We're not doing nothing different," and it looked like they did nothing different. That's a good way to get yourself beat. And the Chiefs, I don't know what Andy Reid's goal was on defense, but yeah, it didn't work. So, and it looked like a pretty simple defense. So, you have to be yourself when you're going up against them. And Sean McVay looked like he was trying to keep it simple on offense for Jared Goff because he didn't want to put too much pressure on Jared Goff. Wade Phillips looked like he had fun. Like he did what he needed to do. He did what he set out to do. And he did his job. And honestly, if I feel sorry for anybody in that situation, it's Wade Phillips. Because you show up, but your head coach doesn't. So.
Cool. That the Super Bowl proved that these 33-year-old millennial overhyped coaches are overrated. That's what the article
He's not overrated.
Yeah, how can you be overrated when you're going up against one of the greatest minds the NFL has ever seen? You can't be overrated when you're just... Look, if you're great in your own right, how are you overrated when you're going up against somebody that's just greater? Sometimes, this is what I said in a video before, man. Sometimes you can't beat greatness. You just have to admire it. You have to admire it. You have to learn from it, most of all. But you have to admire it. I mean, Belichick is just so much on... His level is so much on a master level. Sean McVay is like the apprentice. The apprentice will not beat the master with 2 years of experience when he's had over 30 or 40 years of experience.
He's schooled. He's schooled.
All right, Marcellus, I want to ask you this. Why, because I think you have a theory on this, why do you think Gurley was marginalized in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I do have a theory, and I'm going to save my theory for last. But I'm going to start with what's out there. The first theory was, hey, maybe he was getting benched by C.J. Anderson. C.J. Anderson came on strong after they got him off of the waiver wire, and he just outplayed Todd Gurley. That didn't land with me, especially when you just got paid $57 million, knowing the NFL and the business aspect. That didn't land with me. The second one was maybe he was hurt, and everyone kept it a secret. When you're injured and you keep it a secret, the NFL doesn't like that, and there are consequences for teams that have done that. And people have been penalized for keeping an injury too close to the vest so that you don't tip your hand.
Now, after the Super Bowl, I expected the Rams to come out and say that Todd Gurley was hurt, because that's what teams do in the playoffs. They don't say nothing before the game. I guess, like Marcella said, it's to keep the NFL off their back and to keep them from benching a player. But they didn't say nothing before the game, as expected. But after the game, I thought they would come out and say that Todd Gurley has been nursing some kind of leg injury or knee injury or ankle injury or something like that, or hip injury or something. He's been nursing some kind of thing, been managing it over the course of the playoffs. And he said he was fine. And to be honest, I believe him. I believe he was fine. I believe the reason why he didn't play as much in the Cowboys game or the Saints game is because they didn't need him. Honestly, C.J. Anderson was playing so well that they honestly didn't need Gurley. And if I'm Sean McVay, if I don't need my star back in the game, why put him in there? When the backup is playing so damn well, I could rest my my starter for the Super Bowl. I may give him limited touches against New Orleans, but I could rest him for the Super Bowl, man. He'll be ready to go, and you could just tell him that they were trying to use him more, but it wasn't working. So that's my thought on that. Look, I'm in this. I probably won't make another one. I'm done with this topic. I do believe the running backs in the NFL are devalued because of the passing. It's just a passing league, and this is a main reason why. And I'm gonna be 100% transparent with this. You have so many more casual fans. I believe there's a higher percentage of casual fans now than there were in the past. And just look at everybody's review of the Super Bowl. Everybody thought it was boring. I thought it was a great game, like I said before, because I'm just a fan of defense. I played defense in high school. I'm a fan of defense. So I enjoyed the game. And the drama of seeing who would break through first to score the first touchdown was very entertaining for me. But you have a lot of casual fans who love games like the Rams and the Chiefs had before, where it was 54-51. They love those are great games in their opinion, even though I think a lack of defense shows a lack of strategy, and it just looks like a bunch of people just going up and down the field the whole game. That shit gets boring after a while. I mean, anything over a prolonged period of time can eventually get boring. And I think an entire year where everybody's playing top-notch defense will be boring to me. But if you have one game, especially like a championship game, where it's almost a back-to-back high-level defensive IQ chess match that's going on out there between one coach and another, I believe that's extremely entertaining. Especially if it's just for one game, it's entertaining, and I love to see stuff like that. But I am one person. I am one person with one opinion, and not everybody shares that. But I believe that's the reason why. Casual fans, they love high-scoring games. They love passing. They love seeing big plays downfield. You can't have a big play downfield in a running game unless you have a big play running back, like Adrian Peterson from like 6 years ago. Like a Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott. So, all right.